Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
The path to bliss technically begins before the unwritten part of our fate.
It's just the door that gets there.
Exactly, because happiness is written into our fate, means that so is the possibility for bliss. It's just bliss is the result of wanting more than happiness. And in that previous episode, we kind of talked about how the possibilities for bliss are spread throughout our fate. They have to be. But that's effectively really what is getting us to happiness. So happiness is at the top of our wellness chart. You know, you kind of have like that Maslow's pyramid, right, of self-actualization. So you imagine that happiness is the top of that.
Yeah.
So
what does that look like, though?
You mean the whole chart? Or just like what happiness is? So it's just like everything is well. My purpose is smooth. My relationships are harmonious. My inner world is peace. Like it's just you have everything you could have possibly wanted or imagined for yourself.
Which is why I guess stopping at happy is like quite a respectable choice.
Yeah.
Because we have enough. Because it's acknowledging that not only we are enough, but that we have enough and all is enough.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like saying, I'm going to take all this happy energy I have and just channel it into all I do. So it just spreads.
Yes. Gosh,
So
I mean, imagine a world of happy people or a town of happy people.
But then when is it not enough?
It's not enough when it's not enough for us.
Okay.
And it doesn't make us silly or weird if we're like, yeah, I'm happy. But because, you know, I think some of those practices like gratitude will tell you, well, then, you know, be grateful for what you have. It should be enough. But when you're in this place as the divine, you're like, but I could have more, can't I? I can make more of this. Why not?
I know this is going to sound like the craziest, stupidest, most trite example, but I'm going to use it. It's like when you start your karmic process and you're like, all I want is a first date, right?
Yes.
Like I'm going online, I'm swiping. And I've heard people complain to me about this very issue. I can't even get a first date. And then they start getting first dates. And they're like, all I want is a second date. And then they start getting second dates. And then it's all I want is to get laid, or all I want is to then wake up in the morning and not want to kick the other person out of bed, or all I want is for someone to live with me, or all I want is, you just keep going. And even if it's all I want, I'm with my partner and we've had all these experiences, all I want is more experiences with them. It's okay to, you'll be like, oh, well, thank God I'm getting married today, so I'm not the girl who couldn't get a first date. No, you're like, I want more. And actually, if you keep defining where you are in comparison to where you've been, what that ends up doing is it limits you for a couple of reasons. The first is that you end up almost validating that you were not good enough in the first place because you've overcome it to the point where it's still very alive, but you're proving it wrong.
Yeah.
So it's still alive because you're still trying to prove it wrong. And second of all, it does cap that. You end up stifling all those other possibilities in front of you because you're so grateful, let's say, that they haven't gone anywhere, that you don't want to do anything to rock the boat. Or you don't want to put yourselves in a situation where you could rock the boat. Or, oh, it's okay that we didn't go to, I don't know, the Bahamas because actually at least he was at home when I got there after work. So you end up limiting everything. You end up limiting your future whilst also still defining yourself by your past. So actually wanting more in many ways is really fucking healthy.
Yes, it is.
When you start wanting more, you're focusing on the future. You're not in your future focus as in you're waiting, but as in you're looking forward. And so that past really has a chance to really die.
Yes, it does.
Because it no longer factors into the equation. It becomes present and future matter rather than past and present matter, and the future scares the shit out of me, so it influences the present. Does that make sense?
It does, because all that settling I think you're referring to, it keeps us from operating within the realm of potential, which then creates very specific and limited circumstances in which we could exist. So if we break out of those bounds, it broadens our possible experiences.
And as we've said before, the only way to create new is to first see the potential of new so that it becomes a strong possibility and then it becomes a reality.
Yeah, which is why magic is a very critical piece for some in this post-karmic life and getting into bliss.
Yeah, because also if you're not being able to see the potential in the first place because you're so grateful that you're not living in where you used to be, then actually you keep that alive and you're more likely to slide backwards. And you're right, it's that settling. It's not, when we say settling, it's not like, oh, I want someone who's going to pay for dinner and they didn't, therefore I'm settling for them. It's I'm settling for a version of myself that gives a shit about these things.
Yes. Yeah. Which is very true. I mean, true. I actually like the way you said that.
Me too. Yeah. It just came out. I'm a big fan.
So we know when enough is not enough for us.
Yeah, because it's become normal. As we said, experience becomes normal. When it becomes normal, we've actually allowed it to be normal. We've lived in that place for a while. We're confident that this is how it's going to be. And yes, there is always the humility there of we don't take anything for fucking granted. We want to see what else we can do. Yeah. Actually, no, I don't even know that whole granted thing. I'm not even convinced. Anyway.
I don't know about that either. But, we know because we've either contracted for the entire spectrum of experience, which means I have signed up for this, even though sometimes I want to say I didn't sign up for this. I know I've signed up for this.
Yeah, ditto.
At this stage of my life, right? And all the experiences.
I feel I say it all the time. I'm like, Liz, I didn't sign up for this. And then later I'm like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Because actually, now my heart is more open. I have more faith. Connection is stronger. Like all those things come from all the shit that I shouted I didn't sign up for.
And I'm the one with such layered purpose, and I'm like, God, there's more. Did I really sign up for this? I'm like, I'm kind of tired now.
But for me, it's just like it's like I remember saying to you at one point, and I know this, where I was just like, I just want more love everywhere. And I know that you say that bliss and love and like not necessarily but for me, more love eventually ends up in bliss, right? Because it's like, I want love everywhere I look, in every single way, at all the fucking time, in all the fucking ways.
Yeah.
And for me, the culmination of that love, in the sense of purpose and experience and connection and all those things, does culminate in bliss, I guess.
Well, it moves us forward. That love can actually propel us forward, which is another condition for more, right? For the it's not enough, because I not only have asked for this greater spectrum of experience, but my love is propelling me forward into more. And the final piece is truth, and uncovering our truth, which, oh my God, I can't believe I have to say this, but there's only one truth, which is that we are the divine. And all other truths are just kind of fan out from there. We will want more of the divine experience, which is whatever's possible.
And whatever we want.
Exactly.
So it's so funny because I remember this. Like, I used to say to you a lot in the beginning episodes, definitely in the earlier seasons. I was like, we all want one thing, which is, yes, we want to be ourselves, but we also want it to work out. And I was like, it's always the second bit that we tend to fall on. So we change the first. So we end up prioritizing wanting it to work out over being ourselves.
Yeah.
But then it can never work out if we're not ourselves, because we're always trying, right? That's why the games in romance don't work. It's why a lot of spirituality doesn't work. It's why a lot of this stuff doesn't track, because if the one thing you want involves the one thing you're not doing, you've immediately shut off the possibility from it. But the more you do that one thing, and the more it does start working out, like I said in a previous episode this season, the more you get that high of I was right. The more you get that high of I can do this. And that's the bit that builds. The more you're just like, actually, this is the only way I can be satisfied. But if I am able to be myself and have it work out, as it's now done quite a few times, I must be the fucking divine. So what else can I do? Okay,
so we make the decision. We want more. We're like, happy is great. This is so nice. I'm really enjoying this. But there's a part of me that's like, as much as I signed up for it, I also feel like I've signed up for more, even though I might think I'm a little crazy for it. So we push ourselves forward to that door, that portal that we discussed in the previous episode. And we command it open, right, with our divine will. And when it opens, it is not like the subtle door creaking open like in a horror movie or a thriller, right? Where the door like, sorry, I don't know why they gave me that visual, but it was like that. It is a shattering realization that our reality is but a very small piece of a larger one waiting to be created.
So that's why they said that with bliss, it's just a jump. It's a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because it's just a jump.
Yes.
So when do you know that you're ready to push this door? Like, not when do you, like, but kind of like, will it just be like, oh, one day you wake up and you're like, I'm going to open the door today?
Like we said in the previous episode, you'll have timed out on things. You'll be like, I feel like I've capped out. Like, what more is there for me to do? I could sit around on my hands and start creating like more and more. But I'm also young enough. I've got time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just going to be signals that, I could retire from my life and just do the same things over and over again. But I feel like I have enough creative energy that I think I need to go start playing with it a bit more.
And do something new, like go write a book if I've never done that, or go set up an ecosystem in Bali.
But it definitely wouldn't be like, oh, let me go develop a hobby, take up a new sport. That's all going to be aspects of happiness. It's going to be a sense of absolute purpose. And it's going to require a level of devotion and commitment. So all the stuff in the previous seasons that we've talked about in terms of purpose, mission, etc., that's all going to be playing into this decision and how things play out. Hence the Causing a Commotion title for this. This is not going to be a quiet endeavor. Even those young ones who were born for bliss, right? Who are not the same as the bliss babies who come in all like in bliss, which this is actually what I wanted to sort of check, but we didn't have to in a previous episode. When we talk about somebody and how people can never be born into their unwritten fate, I was like, okay, well, what about the bliss babies, as in the babies who come in on the bliss vibration? They're not in the unwritten part of their fate, but they exist within the realm of potential. So they don't necessarily have purpose. They're like full-blown mission beings. So if they're here solely for God consciousness, they're technically not fated for anything. They will just exist at that vibration.
And figure out how to express it.
Exactly. That would be the difference for them. The younger generation who are just quite magical, they'll experience similarly the shattering of an old reality, and that becomes a massive reality shift for them. So they need time to gather up all the cognitive knowledge that they require to put into their new reality. So they'll need certain experiences to move through. So they're going to be leading more or less normal lives, just kind of from a more magical place of, isn't life just so easy for me, you know? Or I get everything I need or require with very little effort. But they'll still need that period of life and time before they go into bliss. So again, that's still going to be a reality shift for them, as much as it would be for anyone else. But because they already vibrate higher, it may not be vibrationally that disruptive for them.
But they'll only do it once.
Mm-hmm. You only do it once.
Okay.
To ensure that we don't break in the process. So if one reality is being broken or shattered, we don't want to shatter ourselves with it. So we might kind of find ourselves as we go through this, you know, either going on a really long holiday, like an extended break, you know, taking a hiatus from work and needing time away from, you know, our worlds, because the portal opening can take up to about 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Energetically, you are effectively allowing parts of yourself to be taken apart. So as we had said before, you're leaving behind what's not going to serve you. Maybe you have to go back and grab a piece somewhere that was left in the past that was morphed into being used for your survival, but is effectively part of your internal motivation. That divine piece that's like, I'm here for a lot more than just to survive separation. And so you need that energetic piece. So sometimes you have to go back and retrieve that. That doesn't take long. It just takes awareness. So effectively, a lot of your energy, whether you're conscious of it or not, or whether you're conscientious of it or not, I should say, is being spent in this kind of reweaving of the self energetically that you really don't have the space for much else. Whatever that piece that we had to go retrieve, it is essential for our bliss. And it's a critical piece that allows us to complete that whole picture of the I am as I always am, and then whatever that other saying was, which I can't remember. And once we have that, then we can move forward in that other reality. Once the door is open, once the portal is open, we can hit the ground running.
How do you know that the portal's open? How do you know you've opened it?
You'll know. There isn't going to be a single sign. You're just going to know. You're going to have the heightened awareness at this stage of your evolution that there's no way you can't know it.
Okay.
You're going to effectively have to be able to pull together 3 elements to make this unwritten part what it needs to be. Otherwise, it can become unproductive. Because if you're entering the unwritten part of your fate, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this is like a lot. Now, if anybody who has done our void meditation, when you go into the void, you can feel the energy just rushing past you. For some, you can even hear it, but it is massive. When you go into the void, in order to be able to access those units of knowledge that you require for whatever piece required for your mission or your purpose that is essential to you, knowledge is energy. It requires a lot of power to support so you can feel that. Now, when you go beyond this portal and into the unwritten part of your fate, it feels that vast, like the void, but it almost feels sort of empty. The one thing you don't sense is the circulating energy because it's waiting for you to pour it in. So if you're in that space, it could get a little overwhelming, like being dropped into an empty room and be like, I've got to fill this with what? I'm armed with what? Just me, my energy. Like, didn't come with anything else, a paintbrush or whatever. You need love, which means that all of your core relationships have to be solid and intact. You need your truth, which means you have to be fully aware of who you are at your core, which is the divine. And finally, you need your purpose. You have to be so aware and living, breathing, driving it that it is fully embedded in your life.
But then what do we get, or what happens when we enter this portal?
Power.
And
complete and absolute power to drive your life in any direction you deem fit.
And you're in bliss already.
Yeah. And then you're in bliss.
So wait, question. I do have a question. So you're in bliss the minute you enter the unwritten part of your fate?
Yes.
The minute you open that door, you go into bliss and the empty room where you can fill it with whatever you want?
Yes.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.